Everybody, it's me, Robbie Bobby, and welcome to the Robbie Bobby podcast here on WJRC, Spotify, Facebook, and YouTube. What we're going to get into today, it's kind of different. Normally I just do my quick little segments, whatever, but it's almost a two-parter, but it's all wrapped up in one just for y'all. The first part, there's going to be some stats and numbers, which y'all know I really don't like to do because it kind of gets boggled up, and you're just like, what the hell is he talking about? But they're pretty straightforward, not a lot, and it just goes to prove a point. And once you hear that, you're like, holy crap, this is what's going on. But if you listen to the Rabbit Bobby podcast, you would probably already know this. For all you that you don't, you're going to be like, what the heck's going on up in these schools now with it? Now, we do have, in part two, I guess you would call it, Senator Willie Preston. That's right. Oh, Willie Preston from Illinois, which is where we're focusing on the schools, mainly in Chicago, but Illinois itself. But we just want to thank Willie for coming on out and giving us the rundown. He got permission to come off the plantation. He's a Democrat, so he got permission to come off the plantation and go up there and talk to Fox News. But we're gonna figure it out and just wait till you get a bit. Oh, Willie with us today. Willie Preston, that's right. Now, this first part is the numbers come from the Daily Caller. Again, you can look all this stuff up yourself, but I appreciate you coming to me and hearing it from me and letting me do my little thing and my little, what I like to, I don't know, but this is from Reagan Reese. Now, here we go, folks. Not a single student is proficient in reading or math at 55 Chicago schools. Now, that's, we've heard about this for years. We've known this. But it's coming, it's in our face now. So in 55 Chicago public schools, not private, we'll get that in a minute, not one student met grade level expectations in either math or reading during 2021 or 2022 school year. Now, this is according to WirePoint's report. Again, you can look all this up. Now, this is where it gets kind of just like, oh, my Lord, vapors. Out of 649 Chicago public schools, 22 schools have 0 students who met grade level expectations for reading, while no students were proficient in math. 33 schools during 2021-22 school year. And that's according to WirePorts again. The data analyzed is from the Illinois State Board of Education annual report, which details how schools within the state are performing. So although WirePoints did this report, all the data, again, is from the State Board of Education in Illinois. So it's not like, they're just making it up. It's from them. Now, what you're going to hear when we get to old Willie is the blaming and this, that, and the other. And John Klinger and Ted Dabrowski, the author of another report, correctly states, defenders of the current system are sure to invoke COVID as the big reason for low scores. We know this is coming. And we know it's BS. If you look at the 2019 numbers, they show that the reading and math numbers were only slightly better than they are now. And in a related note, which I shall tell you myself, not one student was proficient in math in 23 Baltimore schools. Baltimore. Where have we heard that before? Again. Now, within the state of Illinois, 30 schools do not have any students read at grade level during the 21-22 school year. Approximately 53 schools in Illinois have zero students proficient in math. I know how it's possible, but I can't believe they get away with this. We're going to touch on it. We'll stay on it. In 930 schools within the state, just 1 out of 10 students met math grade level expectations. 1 out of 10. Now, the report stated that 622 Illinois schools, 1 out of 10 students or fewer are reading proficiently. And again, that explains a lot about things I've said in the past, like it's by design and, government schools only teach the students just enough to be good government subjects. But now it's just worse. We're going to touch on that as well also. Now, the report comes as the nation battles historic learning loss. Since 2019, every state has seen a decline in its students' math scores, while the nation's reading scores dropped to fall in line with the numbers from 1990. Again, how does this happen? Now, from the head of the union herself, from the American Federations of Teachers, the union, the biggest union in the country. You might remember this lady. Her name, Randy Weingarten, who funnels money from school districts and makes enough money off the taxpayer to send her kids to private school. She said, here we go now. Bottom line is everyone suffered in the pandemic because of the pandemic. Wow. Again, she said that back in October, and the disruption was everywhere, and it was bad regardless of whether schools were remote or in person. We are focused now on the urgent need to help kids recover and thrive. Well, the recovering is because of you and the policies that teachers' unions and herself, others like the handlers in the White House, put forth and made, shut down the schools, COVID, whatever. Again, it was her and her comrades' union making school policy along, again, with the handlers, to make sure kids weren't able to get the education they deserve and basically pay for. Well, the parents do. Again, not a single student can do math at grade level in 53 Illinois schools. I'm going to say it again. Not a single student can do math at grade level in 53 Illinois schools. For reading, it's 30 schools. Not one single student. Not one. Now, this is typical liberalism. Reward failure. Failure is liberal enhancer. Don't forget, look at the Biden nominees for anything. They've accomplished nothing. Now, of the 33 schools without a student testing proficient in math, here it is. The Illinois State Board of Education rated 7 as commendable. This is the second highest accountability rating that can be awarded. Again, liberalism, failure, they go hand in hand. Approximately 6 schools of the 22 with 0 students reading at grade level were awarded a commendable rating from the Board of Education. Now, again, failure is a liberal resume enhancer. They fail at everything, and DNC and the Democrats look at it like, oh, that's great. Let's promote this person for doing absolutely nothing or failing. And we have seen that over the past few years. Now, coming up, we have old Willie Preston, senator from Illinois, going to try to explain away, and wait till you hear the amount of money that Chicago gets. It's just unbelievable. And, of course, Chicago Public Schools, they didn't say nothing. They wouldn't respond. So, but, I'm used to it. So, on that note, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with old Willie Preston. See ya. Well, in a second. Bye. Woo! All right. Welcome back to the Robbie Bobby podcast. I'm still your host, Robbie Bobby, and thanks for joining me. Like in the last episode, we said we got some sound bites coming up, and boy, did we. Again, this is fun. I just kind of started doing this again. I got some new stuff going on. So, again, we're doing this all together, except like when I do stuff behind the scenes and edit stuff. But I try to leave everything in there, just do as I do, and I know y'all love it. And thank you so much for all the shout-outs and the likes. And again, don't forget to hit the like button, the subscribe buttons on Spotify, YouTube, and Facebook. Thank you so much for all the well wishes. The beautiful Jen, the executive producer of the Robbie Bobby podcast. She is doing wonderful. I'm doing wonderful as well. We'll have some updates on all of that coming up soon. But let's back to the fun. So we have these sound bites, and it's getting real bad. Like I said, we got we we got the sound bites from Illinois Senator old Willie Preston. That's right, out of Chicago. And who else, you might ask, was a senator from Chicago? Only voted president so he wouldn't have a record. Let's see. That's right. Barack Obama. That's right. And these issues with the schools, they were festering way back then. And as we see, obviously, he didn't do anything about it. And, of course, he was being groomed by domestic terrorists, proud, rich, white Marxist, I might add, Bill Ayers and Bernadette Dorn of the Weather Underground, who killed police officers and set off some bombs back in the 70s and got away with it, basically. But, he was being groomed to push Hillary out of the way of the presidency so he couldn't be bothered with all the I work for the people BS and, I'm the one we've been waiting for. Blah, 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 blah. Now, but right from the start, old Willie, like a good plantation Democrat, towing the line and the narrative, as we heard from Randy Weingarten earlier, it was the pandemic. Cut one.
I believe this is something that is a byproduct of some of our policies that we're taking during COVID.
Okay, so there it is. Now, don't forget, these politicians and union leaders that forced the children of Chicago into these failing schools, they don't send their kids public schools. Oh, no. They make enough money off the backs of taxpayers to send their kids to safe, secure schools that teach and groom them to the universities that will continue the propaganda training, while the public school kids get, well, as we've seen, they don't even get taught enough to be good government subjects anymore. And you've seen the short reels I post from Justin's show. Big shout out to Justin. Hilarious. On Facebook. I mean, if you can't see the blatant child abuse going on in these mostly inner cities and racism, I would call, well, it's the Democrat Party in control, so it's definitely racism. Well, then you're part of the problem. And again, the videos, the short reels from Justin, where he just asked basic like math questions or geography questions, and these poor kids they have no clue what's going on. Again, it's just, I mean, you've seen them. So, but this next clip from old Willie Preston, as we see the amount of money being laundered, I mean, poured into these schools. Well, again, I must stop myself. If these schools were getting the money, or at least people in charge weren't crooks, I don't think we would be having this or these types of issues again by design. Roll it. Okay, look. Here it is. $9.4 billion. And then we see an additional $1.8 billion from the American Rescue Plan. You're asking yourself, what rescue? Well, it was part of Biden's handlers' COVID-19 stimulus, or like the student debt relief, another vote-buying scam, but more money laundering and involved in this. So money gets sent to local politicians and the unions, and they simply funnel it back to the DNC with a little bit off the top for themselves. Hence the fact these career corrupt politicians and union leaders can afford to send their kids to private school on a public servant salary. How's that happen? Okay, it's like the same way Biden and other politicians become millionaires, like the Pelosi's latest scam with the stock market and her husband. Again, no investigation, but one of many reasons children's and schools are shortchanged, shall I say. Now, this is Willie's response. Go!
Well, what I can tell you is, one, government isn't the answer for all things. I think that we have to re-engage parents, have parents actively taking a role inside the schools when they can be. But in addition, we need to make certain that we spend our money in the right way as it pertains to our children's education.
Okay. Here we go. So he's saying we have to get parents more involved with the child's education. We can't blame the teachers at all. We can't put this at the feet of the teachers. Hell, we can't be doing that now. Now, okay. I mean, teachers pay union dues. They pay for this man's salary now. Now, some of y'all might be asking yourselves once again, especially if you watch and listen to the podcast on Spotify, YouTube, and Facebook. But Robbie Bobby, we tried to get involved, and Biden's DOJ and FBI labeled us as domestic terrorists. Now, of course, Merrick Garland, y'all know who he is. If not, I will tell you right now. He is the U.S. Attorney General. He's been brought up to Congress plenty of times, but denies any of this, despite having the proof. Again, being brought to Congress to testify and then being proven a liar. Yeah, but that's the weaponization of DOJ and FBI, as we have seen since, when President Trump was running for office. But I digress. Now, nothing ever happens to these people. They can also just lie to us. Nothing happens. But they can also, as we've seen lately with President Trump, falsely accuse us, people, of lying, which we can go to jail for that. But they can just say that we are. And as well as fabricated crimes like President Trump is fighting now. And we go jail to never be heard from again. January 6th. Now, in this next soundbite, Willie makes a good point, and I will once again prove liberal socialism is a failure. When he's proving these points, and we'll get to another one, I don't think he realizes what's he doing. We do like Biden. I don't think he realizes what he's doing. So, roll it.
There are a lot of children that are facing homelessness, that are not attending classes regularly. There are a number of factors in addition to that. What we have to find, a lot of these schools, a lot of these children are coming from poverty-stricken communities.
There it is. Did you hear it? I mean, I hope you all did. These children and families are from poor communities and neighborhoods. Well, no shit, Willie. And guess who these poor families for generations have been voting for? Any guesses? You, out there. You? Yep. Bingo. And as these predominantly black communities are told that if you don't vote this way, then you ain't black. Play it.
You have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
Drum roll, please. Democrats. And he goes on about the money and how they have to rebuild working class communities, the ones that their policies for decades have destroyed. And by the way, not to mention, not to mention the illegal immigrants. Chicago is a sanctuary city. Now, they have brought in tens of thousands of illegal immigrants that are taking the jobs they say the community needs. We have, like I said, we have a segment on the residents at a town hall of Chicago that they just had enough and are calling to end sanctuary status. But Willie goes back to blaming the parents. Roll it, Willie.
And I believe that as a community, we just can't focus on the dollars being put in the classrooms. We have to re-engage a working class, rebuilding working class communities. We have to have parents that are actually able to get their children to school every day on time inside of a classroom, fed with a lunch, so the kids are ready to learn every day.
Now, this last cut, once again, saying they need to make sure the money, the $10 billion gets to the classroom. And it's crap like this that makes my head hurt. Now, if you listen closely, you'll hear in these clips Willie admitting and stating what the underlying problem is. Roll it!
Reappropriate dollars to the classrooms the right way. Make certain that every teacher has a teacher's aide, for instance. We can reappropriate it if we start to ensure that we have children and that have parents that are able to actually have a stable home.
Now, every problem he admitted to, unknowingly again, comes back to them. It's the politicians and the union leaders. How is it they are able to get away with squandering $10 billion freaking dollars and then look at us in the eye and be like, we need more money? And it's all your fault that they wasted it. WJRC, the home of the Robbie Bobby podcast. Find me on Spotify, YouTube, Facebook. Hit the like button. And again, stay tuned. We have the Chicago residents raising hell. But Willie ain't there. We got somebody else coming up. And on that note, thanks for joining me. See ya.